Ninja Kamui. I briefly talked about this show before when discussing episode 1 and kinda the details behind the background of this anime, which you guys can go check out if you want to. Originally, I thought about doing episode reviews for some of these episodes anytime some came out, but little by little, I felt like it made more sense to do this looking back on it as a whole. And quite frankly, if I were to review this episode by episode, I'd run out of things to talk about very quickly because there isn't much to talk about episode to episode. But you guys have read the title. I titled this the way that I have because I do have some things I want to say about this. Ninja Kamui bleeds coolness. It is one of the coolest looking shows I've ever seen. It gives you that like 90s anime aesthetic feel, maybe some aesthetics you would see akin to Afro Samurai, even though personally I haven't seen Afro Samurai, but aesthetically alone and the fact that they're both revenge plots, I do feel like they are sort of similar. And also because I think one of the people behind it are the same as well. I think it was the character designer. I think the character designer is also the same. This show is cool. The fight scenes are amazing. Some of the best that I've seen in a long time. And I've been watching anime for what feels like forever. But in my opinion, where this show does lack slightly is the story itself. And it's not to say that the story is bad. I probably wouldn't even use the term weak. But I feel like the main purpose of the story is to facilitate all of these wonderful fight scenes that we get. As a casual viewer, I am completely fine with that aspect of the show. But as somebody trying to analyze the show, it does put me in a weird position. This beginning is being written before I've seen the final few episodes, and a lot of the people are saying the ball has been dropped completely by the end. So what exactly went wrong with Ninja Kamui? Like I said earlier, one of the biggest weaknesses in this show is the story itself. It revolves around this guy named Higan. Episode 1 starts us off viewing this peaceful life between him, his wife, and son. They live on the outskirts of town, practically in the middle of nowhere, just laughing, celebrating birthdays, sitting by the fire. Clearly things are going a little too perfect for a show premiering on Adult Swim. And yeah, they all die. All of them. The end. That's the end of the series. Goodbye. This group has been going around and killing different exiled ninja in hiding, and this family who we've been following just happens to be exiled ninja. Obviously, we find out shortly that our main guy didn't die for some reason, and he proceeds to release some strength and take out a lot of ninjas, so many ninjas, and vow revenge on the entire clan. The first episode genuinely gets you everything you want. Big action scenes left and right, hordes of enemies falling down, a hint towards a very serious ninja story that's just you can't wait to be told. But there is one problem with that. I do think the show peaked in the first episode. And that's not to say I didn't enjoy viewing the rest of the series, it's just that episode 1 was such a perfect episode. And it also didn't help the fact that when more of the story started revealing itself, the more you found out the biggest issue the show has is most of it's about this big company that you just don't care about, and all of this detective stuff, it just makes it feel more generic than original. And I see a lot of people over the internet saying things similar, just saying it fell off, it's mid, it's trash. People are writing it off from the first episode alone. When I went into it, I think I wanted something with a lot less exposition, more action, just a guy on a mission to avenge his family. But what we end up getting is that, but also a lot of focus on this detective and his pals trying to take down a big corporation that are supplying ninjas with robot outfits. The last time I personally saw a lot of people talking about a show with a lot of promise that just didn't live up to what we wanted was when Yasuke came out. Remember that? Well, I guess y'all do know with all this Assassin's Creed drama going around. And I do think that show did something similarly. A lot of the audience thought they were going to get some cool historical anime about the first black samurai, but instead it took place years after that historical thing that happened, and they were fighting some weird witch ladies and stuff, and there were robots and magic and just a lot of stuff that was opposite of what people wanted. Kind of like this show, but what else happened in it? After the detective and his partner got involved, they were able to sneak into the big company once with a lot of help from some stranger who was able to contact all of his burner phones. With that person's help, Higan basically ran into a death trap, but he did not care. He could easily take out all the putties and NPCs on the lower levels, but now we're here with the big gang and they're in their robot suits and they jump him. They beat the shit out of him until one of them betrays the others and saves Higan's life. It was the detective's partner. It turned out She was actually a ninja in disguise. What did you expect it? It turned out she was also best friends with Higan's wife, so she swore to protect them or something like that. I don't know, man. She doesn't live for that much longer after this, so who cares? Whoops, that might have been a little spoiler for some of you guys if you wanted to watch this. My bad. Another issue this show has is with its characters. One of the things I noticed throughout watching this entire series is once a character's background is revealed, once their motives are known to the audience, that's most of the growth the character is going to have. It's pretty surface level if you ask me. And because half this series is about super serious ninjas, most outside of maybe 2 or 3 have very dry and monotone delivery because it's super serious ninja show, and they had to get rid of their emotions as part of the ninja code, and the ones that didn't were killed or exiled. And with a lot of the exposition going on, to be honest, I did start turning my brain off for some of these episodes. A lot of the episodes just kind of started flying by. One of the only ones left that I actually did really enjoy was episode 11. I think it was Higan versus his former friend who was still in the clan, because he had this whole backstory where I think he was an orphan or something, and the ninja saved him, and Higan and Higan's wife, I forget her name, I think it was Mari, they end up becoming friends. The three of them were like the best ninjas of all time, so he has this weird vendetta against them for going against the code because he's so devoted to this clan, and it's like, that's cool, I guess, but I don't know. I don't care at this point, to be honest. I just want to see you guys fight. So fight. And fight they did. And it's probably one of the best fight scenes in the world. I really enjoyed this fight scene because it was mostly action with little character drama they have from their past motivating the fight. The choreography was so outstanding during this fight. It's unbelievable. Probably the best in the series. Probably the best I've seen genuinely in a long time. Hands down. I wish all of the episodes were like this. Some of the episodes do genuinely fall flat. But this episode really drove the cake home for what I wanted this show to be. Something I do feel like that's a flaw, but maybe not as bad as a flaw, is I do think the show was kind of predictable, which is the case for a lot of shows, but I think this show kind of had it bad. I never really felt like the main character was on a bad foot. From the beginning, he seemed super overpowered, except for the first fight where he let his family die, and I guess he died as well. But for the rest of the fights that happened throughout the series, he didn't really struggle that much. He didn't really struggle that much during any of his fights. Like, yeah, there was that one scene where they all jumped the shit out of him, but that was like a 6v1. I think anybody would lose during that, fighting 6 semi-important characters versus 1 important character. But the rest of them, you just kind of knew Higan was gonna win. He's the only one with decent character motivation. He's the only one that like just actively wants something. He's the main character. That's the reason why. He's just the main character. And after that episode 11 fight with him and his best friend, the only one that was left to do was him versus the big boss ninja guy. And I think that fell flat completely, because instead of like the previous fight where they were out of their suits for most of it and they were fighting with hands, with swords, all of their cool ninja tricks, this fight was mostly CG and mostly a robotic fight. So although the scenes were still dynamic and were decent enough, I do feel like the previous fight was better just from a visual standpoint, from a directing standpoint. I love POV shots, and that one gave us a really good POV shot. Oh my goodness, 2 good POV shots, honestly. And again, I didn't really see Higan losing. I think they won pretty decisively, if you ask me, and that was the end of the series. The big company's now gone, and Higan just won. Yay, I guess. If I had the opportunity to make some changes to this show, what I think I would do is I would keep the revenge plot going, because I do think that's the main focus and a good driving point to facilitate a lot of these fights. One of the things I would do is get rid of the gigantic company Alza, because I don't see that as necessary. Instead of them working for a big company to gain a political hand, I think it'd be cooler if they worked for the Japanese government itself to have some sort of a political hand. I think that'd be a much neater idea. They wouldn't have to do the cool techie robot ninja stuff. They could really work within the shadows of the government, assassinating people that the government hired them to do, and then seeing them try to work their way to bring back the era of ninja, because I don't know how they would do it with Alza. Work for the actual government just seems like a better option. You know what I mean? But other than that, a lot of the things has to do with the writing. I get rid of a lot of exposition and kind of just make them kind of do a more character, not show aspect of the show. Make it a little bit more like Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal, or how some of the fight scenes are in Samurai Jack, where nobody talks. We just see character motivations and drives throughout how they act. I don't need them to tell me anything. I just want to see them act and do things that make sense for their characters. I think that'd be a really unique thing that made this stand out in a landscape of anime. But that's really it. The show's not bad. I personally just think it had a lot higher expectations that it just could not meet. The animation is fine, but good in fights. The characters range from weird pervy short ninja to weird big hacker man that helps Higan fight this big company, and everybody else falls really in between that. Personally speaking, I did enjoy myself watching this show. It was fun for what it is. It's just not something to write home about. I wouldn't go out of my way to recommend this to somebody. But what I would recommend is that you go out of your way to watch some of these fights. You don't have to watch all of these episodes. Just go on YouTube, look at some of the fight compilations. Maybe if there's some AMV things out for the show, because I do feel like the show did try to target itself to that AMV kind of audience, so I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of AMVs for the fights of this show. So I'd say go out of your way to watch some of those, because those definitely wouldn't take that long, and that's the most exciting parts of this series that you'll probably enjoy. That's what I watched it for, some great fights. So hey, take my word for it. It's pretty cool. Or maybe don't take my word for it, because it now has a game and 2 more seasons have been greenlit for it.